Move over NXT Takeover. This is an SCW Takeover, the show where you put in the questions and I will answer them. It's SCW Live, the Q&A episode 10 for you right here, right now on YouTube.com. I'm not on my own, and I get my guest this week joining me straight after this. So without further ado, then, by popular demand, he is back. It's the one, the only Aaron, wrestling by Wooldridge, is in the house. Aaron, how are you doing, my good friend?
Yeah, all good. Thanks, mate. It's great to be back on here.
Yeah, it's great to have you back as well. And may I just say, first off, by saying congratulations on going past 300 subscribers on YouTube. Heck of a milestone.
Yeah, so happy, man. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's just amazing. Just even at 10 subs at first, and now hitting 300 it's awesome.
It's growing quickly. It's growing quickly. And just to say, if you haven't subscribed to Wrestling by Wooldridge already, ladies and gents, I will put his channel in the link in the description so you can go over and subscribe to him. And I have to say, first off, a big thank you to yourself actually for having me on your channel last week for the first episode of Legacy Sessions. Do you want to tell everyone just a bit about that for those who have not seen it yet?
Yeah, so it's just obviously Steve was my first guest. And it was just us talking about the best matches of a certain wrestler's career. Obviously, we reviewed Stone Cold Steve Austin. So we had matches like him versus The Rock and his Epics versus Bret Hart. So that's pretty much how it's going to be going forward. I've got another couple lined up already with some other wrestlers. So, yeah, stay tuned for that. But, yeah, thanks for...
Yeah, not a problem at all. I can't wait to see the next episodes. I thoroughly enjoyed being part of that one with Stone Cold Steve Austin. And yeah, it's going to be really fun to see what we've got in store with the next ones. And Noob & Co is in the house saying, hello, how are you doing? We're doing very well, Noob. Thank you for checking us out. Hope you are doing well also. Yeah, like I say, we've got plenty of questions already come flying in. So without further ado, should we get in with the first one?
Let's do it.
Let's do it indeed. Well, I'll tell you what, we've got one that came in nice and early, so early that it's not actually on the chat stream at the moment. Rated R for Wrestling, who, of course, will be doing his own Hell in a Cell predictions later today on his channel, has asked, of course, with everything happening on NXT this week, does this set up Samoa Joe for one final in-ring run? I really hope so. Of course, at the moment, he's obviously got just assistant to GM capacity. Of course, William Regal offered him the actual GM role, and he said no to it at the time. But he will actually back up and make sure that everything is law and order is set, basically. And, of course, Samoa Joe did get physical this week, of course, actually putting Adam Cole in the key to clutch also. And as a stare down with Karrion Kross, it's something that you sort of feel that hopefully some point down the line, Joe will be cleared and we will get a match with him. I'm guessing, Aaron, you must be the same, mate. Hopefully, we're going to get Joe back in the ring at some point in NXT.
Yeah, 100%. I do hope so. I'm a big fan of Joe's work. I think he's a great wrestler. And yeah, everyone's been saying how there isn't really any opponents left for Kross because he just sort of ran through everyone. Well, there's one right there. So if he does provoke Joe, then that might be a possibility. But yeah, it's always been a little bit quiet on Joe's sort of injury status, hasn't it? Where, how long whether he has a long-standing injury, we're not too sure. So whether it would just be sort of one more match or still have a few years down the line, maybe just a part-time wrestling schedule. Don't know, but yeah, I'd love to see it. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely did. And like you say, it would give Karrion Kross that dream sort of opponent there. So, no, definitely a match I want to see. And Rated R, our answer is hopefully, yes, we definitely want to see it. And, of course, Samoa Joe, a big talking point this week. I'm sure we'll be getting more questions as we go through the episode. And Nubico says, sorry I missed last week's episode. Noob, it's not a problem, my friend. Honestly, it's great to have you here this week, of course. And any episodes you guys check out and take time out of your day, always very much appreciated. So never feel bad if you miss one, but very happy that you're here with us here today and look forward to your questions during the episode. But Martin Curia says, what's up, Aaron and Steve? How are you guys doing in the UK? How's the weather over there? Aaron, how's the weather for you?
Yeah, it's been lovely. Today was about 27 degrees. So, but I don't know about the next week. I think it's supposed to rain starting from tomorrow. So, yeah, I'm going to enjoy it whilst it lasts.
definitely enjoy it while it lasts. I mean, obviously, I'm not in the UK, but I'm on UK time. I'm in the Canary Islands based, so yeah, the weather is very warm over here at the moment. But yeah, it's summer season is coming. We just need some tourism as well. That would be lovely. But we shall go into the questions at the same time, though. And we've got quite a few that come flooding in nice and early on, and obviously we've got ones from Jonesy Chats Wrestling as well, asking them what do you believe happens with Diamond Mine next week, and who do you believe to be in it? So yeah, we know now that Diamond Mine will be on next week. That is a thing that will be happening. What are your thoughts of it? Do you have some ideas of who could be in this, what it's going to represent?
Well, I think firstly we were definitely right about it being an actual sort of event happening. Maybe it'll be similar to like Raw Underground. I don't know, but obviously with it saying it's open, I think that sort of confirms that. You know, I was thinking maybe this would be a chance for Roddy Strong and Marina Shafir to come back. Maybe they're going to be heading it up. I think apparently they've been doing showing a lot of MMA training lately. So it could be them heading it up with some guys that we haven't seen before. Maybe like Parker Boudreaux, Scott Steiner's son, who's obviously there. Maybe Tessa Blanchard. You know, you don't know. But I think it will be guys and girls that we haven't actually seen before. So, yes, it's really exciting stuff.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic shout there, because Roddy hasn't been on NXT for a long time now. I mean, of course, I've been saying for the longest time I think he would be involved. Probably now we're going to have Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly at the Great American Bash, that maybe that would be a good chance for him to bring back if he was to cost Kyle O'Reilly the match. But yeah, like you said, there's some MMA style training being involved with these two. That could be quite interesting to see what that would lead to. We know that Maria Shafir has got previous background of MMA fighting, so that could be very interesting. And like you say, we could see people that we haven't seen before. I mean, Gable Stevenson could be another name to throw into the hat there, because he's been knocking around that performance center for quite a while now. But definitely some guys and girls could be in the mix there, and certainly looks at an exciting proposition. Like you say, opens next week, and I think it would add a lot of credibility, would you, if, like you said there, Roderick Strong, a household name that actually invites you into this. It all becomes their project, and then those other people can get the rub of being with that superstars project.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. It would be good to have, like you say, like a household name in there at least, and then to give stock to these other guys as well, just to give it that interest straight away. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, really looking forward to it as well there. Thank you for the question there. C Nation Dog as well dropped in an early question for us, saying that do you think Kenny Omega is a little overrated right now? Some would say that's a controversial question to kick us off nice and early. I really like it. What were your thoughts on this? Would you say that he's getting a bit overrated, a bit too big for his boots? Maybe one too many V triggers?
I don't think Kenny Omega himself is overrated. I think there's always been that thing with the V triggers. He obviously does quite a lot in a match. I think it's his booking more than anything. Obviously, his booking over in Impact is quite controversial. Not a lot of people are fond of it. And in AEW, I don't think it's too perfect. But I'd say Kenny Omega, the wrestler himself, I wouldn't say is overrated. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's overrated. I think he's actually on the top of his game right now, personally.
Yeah,
I think, obviously, in ring perspective, I mean, I thought we had probably the match of the whole Double or Nothing show, which was arguably probably one of the best shows in AEW history so far. Definitely one of the pay-per-views of the year. But you can say that perhaps from a creative standpoint, there is a point where, I don't know, perhaps I enjoy what's going on, but I do think there's sometimes a little bit of unrest when there's the continuous involvement of Don Callis, the Young Bucks, the Good Brothers. But maybe that's him doing their job, because, I mean, obviously him being one of the best, he's supposed to be a heel. We're not supposed to like him. It doesn't mean it takes away from the talent.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Yeah, definitely. At the end of the day, I think that is the character he's playing, where he's just this overconfident, arrogant heel who has this group surrounding him who sort of praise him and lift him up and just fill his head.
Yeah, absolutely. Martin Correa has said to us now, why are wrestling fans upset that Samoa Joe isn't cleared for in-ring action? Do you agree? Would he be immediately cleared somewhere else? Do you like his role on NXT? So yeah, back to Samoa Joe then for the meantime here. And like you say, not currently cleared for in-ring action. Wrestling fans upset with it? Well, surely health comes first, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. It really does. At the end of the day, if he isn't medically cleared, then that's definitely best for him. I'd rather not see him get hurt and have his career shortened even more where he can't have a match. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, he's been out for a ring for a long time for a reason. So, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just pleased to see him back. Of course, the inner Impact fan of me did kind of wish he came back at Slammiversary to
Yeah.
defend the old guy. We mentioned Kenny Omega in the last question to be that guy of, you're destroying the tarnish the name of Impact. I'm old school of TNA days, and I'm going to bring that heritage back. I would have liked that storyline, but at the same time, he's back on NXT. He's back on my TV screen, so I'm not going to complain. I'm really happy. Would he be cleared somewhere else? I'm not sure. But the thing is, though, if Samoa Joe is that desperate to get into a wrestling ring and knows he's going back to NXT to not be in a wrestling ring, he would go to one of those other options, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that's what I would have thought. Maybe when he had a word with Triple H, maybe wrestling was on the card, and that's what got him to stay. Obviously, money must be a big reason as well. But I do think we would have saw him go to Impact or AEW had WWE just been like, look, can't wrestle again. I think the man knows what he wants, so I'm sure he is where he wants to be.
That's what's most important is where the performer wants to be and stuff. And with Triple H, you'd have trust with a lot of those performers. Had a great run in NXT first time round, and as you said, we're both very happy with that role, aren't we? With what Joe did this week on NXT.
Yeah, definitely. He was great, but a lot of the show just revolved around, didn't it? And it was great to see him interacting with Cross, Dunn, O'Reilly, Cole, all the big names. It's just stuff that we haven't really seen before because some of them guys weren't around when Samoa Joe was on top. So,
yeah, agreed. It feels lovely and fresh, doesn't it? And we'll move on to the next question. In fact, we have it in twice. We've got Jason Michael says, Sub SCW, who do you think this battery Vignettes are? And of course, Jonesy actually said as well with the phone battery Vignettes on NXT this week as well. So a big talking point. A lot of people talking about it. I wondered if you had a thought on it. I definitely have one name that's come to mind instantly.
Oh, I thought Parker Boudreaux, because he has, I think some of his gear has the lightning sort of bolt on that, doesn't it? So I have seen that kind of bandied around. I'm not too sure. Otherwise, what was your name?
I like the suggestion, by the way, especially with, like you said, the lightning bolt, because it goes perfectly with that battery theme. I wondered if it was someone rather than actually coming in as a fresh face, it could be like a return, someone that's been injured for a long time. It's almost like the battery is coming back. And I wondered, it's been around that sort of time that Ridge Holland got injured with a bad injury last year. Could he be coming? It's been about 8 or 9 months. Could this be Ridge Holland coming back to NXT?
Yes, could be. I didn't think of that, to be honest. He kind of just slipped my mind, but that is a really good shout. And I think he is one of those guys that they were trying to push, wasn't it? So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, let's give him a big Vignette, let's get him to return. Yeah, that's a good shout.
It is. Well, I hope it'll be a good shout. Let's see if it will pay off. We'll find out, I'm sure, in the next few weeks. And of course, I wonder if that phone battery is going to be like a Y2J bug, because it seems to be going up in battery every time. I wonder if it's 100% of the Great American Bash and we see him come in and perhaps destroy somebody. I think it would be whoever it comes in, whoever it's going to be. I hope they make a great impact when they first come in. But we mentioned Vignettes there for you. And here comes probably, if there's a harder question this during the stream, I'm looking forward to seeing it, because this is a very difficult one from Jonesy. This wraps up his questions. If you could run any Vignette on Raw for a new wrestler or stable, what would it involve, and how would you reveal who is behind it?
I would probably go with, because this is one of the groups where I think they would do well on the main roster, Legado del Fantasma. I think I'd really like to see there. And I think you could do maybe something interesting with Rey Mysterio. Like, I know he's got Dominic and everything, but whether... because I think you might have to sort of turn him heel, really, to introduce him. But yeah, I'd like to see a good Vignette for Legado with maybe Rey Mysterio involved somehow. I'm not quite sure how that would work, but yeah.
I'll tell you, an idea you could do with that, because I like the suggestion and how you can link it with Rey Mysterio. Obviously, Rey Mysterio, he's seen as the GOAT, isn't he, of all the cruiserweights, the Mexican, Lucha Libre heritage. And of course, I mean, Santos Escobar's been around for 20 years, and they could have during matches, every match run with some sort of vision that could pop up on the screen of like the real legend of Lucha Libre, just something in some sort of format. You could see sort of like flips in the ring. Unfortunately, you won't probably ever see clips of previous places they've been, but of course with Santos Escobar, he's previously wrestled under a mask, so you could use those sort of things to sort of show off as you're building towards it. And where obviously you have like a mask, maybe you could not see the front of the mask, you see the side, you see the back, you see something that keeps it sort of enough shades of grey to the point where you're ready to reveal it. And perhaps when you're ready to reveal it, you actually, instead of having Santos Escobar revealed, you can have Ray and sort of Dominic in the ring, and then you could have like the other two members, Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza, attack them from behind. And then while you're seeing them being beat down, you can see some big elaborate sort of way of introducing him to the ring for that first time of him being the greatest Lucha Libre superstar of all time. And Santos Escobar comes down in that sort of suit with the mask, pulls the mask off, and you just see that really cocky grin, almost like an Alberto Del Rio grin on his face. Do you know what I mean? Have that real sort of like bad blood that they had back like in 2010. So, I mean, that could be a fun way that you could sort of bring them in.
Yeah, definitely. Book it. That was great. I would definitely go for that. I think the thing is, because obviously we've had guys like Alberto Del Rio and Andrade, but for me, Escobar, it's just something different there. Like, he comes across to an American audience so well. He talks really well. His look is awesome. So I do think they've been looking for a Latin America star for a long time, and he could be the guy.
I would agree. And I think with the stable of Guardian Fantasma by their side as well, I think there definitely is a bright future for him. It's just, I think it's a matter of when, not if, at this point, of when that they can actually bring him up to the main roster. I think keep an eye after SummerSlam. Definitely could be something we could see. But we'll move on to the next question. Martin Carrera says there, what is more terrible, Raw Underground or the old NXT, that cringe stuff where with rookies and pros? This is difficult for different reasons because Raw Underground made absolutely no sense at all. But goodness me, when we see people running around with beer cakes, although Titus O'Neil fell over, which was funny. So maybe Raw Underground is worse for me.
I would say old NXT is worse for me. That was dreadful. The thing is with Raw Underground, it was terrible, obviously, but I do like the idea of it. And I think a couple of the matchups they had were quite interesting. And we just saw guys like Dolph Ziggler. We know Dolph Ziggler's a good amateur wrestler, and he would just come in. And so there was good parts of it, but the old NXT, I wasn't a fan personally.
Whenever it was I must admit, I watched the first couple of seasons and then I think I lost interest. I think when it got to like the redemption stage, I was just like, this doesn't work for me anymore. And like you said, I think this is the best way to sum it up, is that Raw Underground had the potential to be something good, where the old NXT cringe stuff, as in the question they quoted, it just never really connected. Although we got some fun parts that first season, which led to the Nexus after all, but obviously you got some god-awful promos in there, and I think it was Eli Cottonwood, I think probably had the worst one of all of them, if I had to remember off the top of my head. But there's certainly a fun question, but we've got some more new ones joining the stream. Thank you very much there, Marge, for joining us. And I think this one goes here with a couple of them. It says, did you hear that WWE is bringing back more released wrestlers and the Battery Vignettes can be a repackage of Roderick Strong and his wife? Now, that would be fun. And the manager of the debut, Steiner, holler if you hear me. Now, that would be an interesting idea, though. There's two parts put into one there. Let's take on Roderick Strong first, as he's been kind of in a lot of our conversations so far there. Do you think that would be good to bring him back? Because obviously Roddy quit NXT. He now feels refreshed. He's ready. And we said if that runs out of the Great American Bash and it was him, that could be perfect if it was actually intervened during the Kyle O'Reilly Adam Cole match.
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? You just give him like a new look maybe as well. Obviously if he has Marina as his manager, just gives him like a new sort of character. Yeah, if he did interfere, that would be really interesting. That could even lead on into the 4-way match that some people kind of want. Obviously Bobby Fish is back now, so maybe.
Absolutely. And of course, there is rumors flying around as well that another release superstar has been re-signed to WWE. Could we speculate onto who you'd like it to be, or perhaps who you think it might be?
I would say Aleister Black. I really want to see Aleister Black somewhere else, maybe. But if he is back in NXT, that would be awesome as well, because I think his days in NXT were brilliant. I watched him in NXT and I was like, this, for me, he had world championship material. I thought he was outstanding. His character was just so unique. So if it is Aleister Black coming back as the old Aleister Black, I'd be all for that.
I would love that, especially if it's brought into NXT right now. The idea of like Finn Balor against Aleister Black as a personal rivalry, I think it's mouth-watering just to even think about it. Yeah, all over it. But what I will say is I saw a tweet from Jonesy, Chats Wrestling, earlier on today, and he put a tweet on there, and he had the Daniel Bryan gif that was with the yes, yes, yes. I wonder if it's DB that perhaps he was referring to. It seems, and of course that would come in nicely in time for when fans were to return, perhaps with SummerSlam around the corner as well. Would he go to Raw? Would he go to NXT? Would he fight his place to get back onto SmackDown? I'm not sure, but that certainly would be an interesting proposition as well. I want to see Daniel Bryan versus Edge if it was to be Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, definitely. That match has got to happen. God, if it is Daniel Bryan appearing in NXT, that would be crazy. I think NXT's ratings will definitely shoot up for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. You figure the matches: Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa, Pete Dunne. I mean, we could be all day really talking about
that's
matches.
Your dream match, isn't it? Dunne Bryan, isn't it?
It is indeed. It is indeed. There's been many a universe mode back in the day where they've had a rival for a long time on W2K games, I can promise you. But Martin Carrera is back with us now, and he says that this might sound a bit controversial. Do you guys think that if there wasn't leg slapping in wrestling right now, it would be more believable and real? What's your take on this, Aaron?
That's a really good question, that is. It's hard to say, isn't it? Because with the leg slap, and it does give super kicks and things like that, it does make them look better and sound better. Without it, it might not have the, how do I say it, like, I don't know if the audience would react to him in the same way that they do now. So it would be interesting to see what would happen there. But I don't know, it's hard to say whether it'd be more believable or real. What were your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, the thing is, would wrestling be more believable as well if we didn't have Alexa's Playground? That's kind of,
yeah, there you go.
there are different points rather than the leg slaps, but I totally get the point that's been made. But like you said, the general effect that you get from it, I think sometimes, like you said, to get the crowd to react, it is nice to get it, because when there aren't leg slaps, sometimes you just feel like, oh, there's no impact on that move. I don't hear a sound. You want to hear something where, I don't know. It's a very difficult one, really. It's a fine balance. I think there's an art in doing it. I think it's something that can be overdone, and I think that's the problem with what can happen with the leg slaps.
Yeah, it's very sort of modern. It happens a lot more in the modern day, doesn't it, than it did back in the day? Like you say, with moves like the super kick now being used quite a lot. Whereas I think they did do it back in the day, but as you say, you've got a regulator, haven't you? You can't have it happen all the time. So maybe they just need to cut back on it, so it isn't such a big deal. Yeah,
and maybe not. Maybe where it's not so noticeable. Maybe try and subtly. Maybe that would be the way. Sometimes if his hand just go boom, and you think, well, yeah, it's clear, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Like where that come from. So. Yeah, it's a fine balance there, Martin, but a very interesting question there. Definitely a good debate. We could probably talk about that half an hour on its own, really. That's how good of a question that one was there. But Nuben Co says, I saw a tweet from Oscar she posted. It's a Photoshop picture of her, Kyrie, and Io. And with Kyrie and Io retweet to Oscar, is Oscar hinting at starting a faction? I mean, to be fair, I would love to see an Oscar faction. Of course, she did have a partnership with Kairi Sane back in the day with the Kabuki Warriors. I have no understanding of Kairi Sane returning anytime soon, but Io Shirai looks to be staying put in NXT for now. But is there something in the near future you would like to see, like maybe like a Japanese stable, something that Oscar could be leading?
Yeah, definitely. When it comes to a faction, I'd love to see a women's faction. Hasn't really ever been done before, and NXT has an abundance of women, doesn't it? So, and to have a Japanese faction, like really hard hitting one with Asuka, maybe you can even put Sarai in there because she is on NXT now. You never know. They keep saying that they are going to bring back release wrestlers, and maybe Kairi could be one of them that comes back to NXT. But that is a really interesting prospect.
Certainly is, and I think we could be getting a female faction on NXT actually coming off of this week, because Frankie Monet looks to be trying to break up the Robert Snow brand, doesn't it? So I mean, there could be Aaliyah and Jessie Camira as well. Could be the first female faction, and maybe they need another faction to fight off against them. And but like you say, that if they would do it with Oscar on the main roster, that certainly would be interesting as well, because it would definitely freshen things up for Raw and SmackDown viewers. It's certainly something we've not seen enough of. But no, there's a lot of interesting propositions being thrown to us tonight here. It's loving what's coming up in the chat room. We've got Eli Waz for us next now. I had to do it in that format, so apologies. A dream match that he wants to see is Samoa Joe is Volta, but definitely Bronson Reed passing the torch to Reed would be a good use of Reed as well. Yeah, it would be good use of Bronson Reed, actually, if he could get a win over one of these big men. There's certainly a little potential, and I love that tsunami that's being used as his finisher. But we have to go to the key one straight away there. Joe versus Volta. Yeah, dream match.
Oh yeah, didn't think of that. That is a good one, isn't it? Oh well, it's a possibility. You know, if Walter does come over to the pond again in pretty soon, that could come up. I, you'd like to think they'd want to do something like that, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. Would love to see it indeed there. We're going to go to a couple of comments here that are actually saying here about the idea of this battery being the return of Sami Callihan. Solomon Crow, you'd love to see it, wouldn't you? I can't see it personally, if I'm honest, because I think Sami Callihan, he's got a match at Slammiversary for the World Championship coming up. Do apologies about that sound there. That's but yeah, it's I don't see the one being Sami personally.
No, I don't either. I think Callahan he's quite Mr. Impact at the minute, isn't he? I think he's quite loyal to that promotion, so I can't see him coming back to NXT. But if he did, that would be great. I'm a big fan of Callahan, so
yeah, I mean, definitely would. He'd add some controversy. There's no question about that. He definitely would be a fantastic signing if it was to happen. Even if we didn't think it was going to happen, we do love the suggestion. SC Williams, as I like to say, SCW. If you cast the first three letters of that, sorry about that. I've done that 2 streams in a row now. I don't know if it can be the battery, but a repackaged Kona Reeves, The Rock's daughter Simone, and The Rock debut for NXT. Dwayne said he wants to do something in NXT. Now, I wasn't aware of that, but can you imagine The Rock being in NXT for his daughter Simone? That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would be great. God, could you imagine for NXT if The Rock's in there? You know, they obviously when Charlotte Flair was coming up and she had those matches with Natalia, Brett and Ric Flair were big parts of that, wasn't it? So yeah. I don't think it's too out of the realms of possibility to have The Rock with Simone when she debuts. Kona Reeves is a great show as well. Haven't seen him for a long time, so.
Yeah, it would be good to see Kona Reeves come back in if he was to indeed. And just to say as well there, I mean, Kona Reeves, I wasn't a big fan of the Finest, but if they were to repackage him like this, this could be fun to see where it's going to be. But we mentioned The Rock there with NXT. If it's not out of the realms of possibility, The Rock was at Impact last year doing a video package for the Hall of Fame that they did. So, you know, I mean, anything can happen in the world of professional wrestling, so do not rule it out indeed. But lovely suggestion there. Randy Simpson's a tournament, and Xavier Woods want to be a part of it. I'd like to see Xavier Woods a part of the King of Ring at some point. It seems to be the thing he's destined and desperate to have in his professional career. Would you like to see Xavier Woods go on a bit of a singles run at some point?
Definitely, without a doubt. Everyone is saying how Kofi is going to be the next opponent for Lashley, aren't they? I want to see Xavier Woods challenge for the world title. I want to see him get a few good singles wins behind him, because he's had some great matches lately. I think he did in the past as well. He's always been such a really great wrestler, and I always feel like, you know, with Big E and Kofi and the New Day, he hasn't really maybe had those opportunities to shine. But yeah, if King of the Ring happens as well, make him win it, get him to win it. Why not?
Why not? Why not? I mean, we were talking actually on the live stream yesterday, the idea as well of this Kofi thing, would he turn heel at some point? And Xavier Woods versus Kofi rivalry is something we haven't seen either. That could be an interesting shout also.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, definitely. Maybe you could have Woods turn heel. Either one of them would work, to be honest. It would be interesting.
It certainly would be a different dynamic. And I must say to you, Aaron, the battery is taking over the chat tonight. That's all I can tell you, because we've got Danny Barron giving his say here. He says the battery could be the return of Braun Strowman. I mean, Braun is a name that could be one that would be returning potentially if he had the train, but now he has the battery controller. But he's heading to AEW, so never mind. I love that comment. That certainly did make me laugh there. Yeah, I mean, there is going to be interest on both sides from Strowman to AEW. Is that something you'd be interested in? Because Twitter did not seem as keen on Braun Strowman being a part of AEW.
I don't think I would like to see him in AEW. One of the main reasons being Lance Archer. I think they're both quite similar guys. I think Lance Archer is the Braun Strowman of AEW. And I think if someone like Strowman comes in, yeah, I don't think your Archers, Brian Cage, Luchasaurus, I don't really know if they're going to get a big opportunity. I wonder whether he will be re-signing with WWE. It took me by such surprise. So you never know. He could be the battery controller, as you say.
Absolutely, definitely. If we get those choo-choos back, no. We need our monster back. If he's going to come back in any format, that's what I want to see. I want to see the monster Braun Strowman. And even if he signs with another company, I have more faith in another company to do so. Like you said, there is the downsides of what we've seen in AEW with those likes of Lance Archer and stuff, not getting those big moments. Arguably, perhaps too many big men for one spot at this particular moment. But I mean, I hope that if you bring Braun in, you book him right. But then at the same time, it's that former WWE guy comes in straight to your main event, can also damage the roster. It's a very tricky, fine balance. So, yeah, I don't know what we're going to do with that. But another one here saying, I'm not saying Scott or Rick Steiner's son is NXT, but can the battery be a playoff to his uncle with the siren? That old gimmick there. Of course, he did used to have the clock on his intro. Of course, when you look back in the old days there. So, fun retro reference. Maybe one of Steiner's sons there. Would you like to see that? Could that be a way instead of the Diamond Mine?
Yeah, potentially. That would be cool if he used like one of those sort of things in his entrance, perhaps. I would love to hear like the siren and then him come out to like a different kind of like a remix of Scott Steiner's or Rick Steiner's theme song, maybe. Yeah, they could do. They might not be a part of the Diamond Mine, and they could just be bringing them on with this battery thing, perhaps.
Certainly, indeed. Do you know what? I feel like the amount of suggestions coming in, I've got a top 10 video I can make on YouTube tomorrow. You all guys giving me such great suggestions in the chat room. It's you're making my life easy for me. That's what I really like to see. Marta Guerrero says, can Cameron Grimes be a top babyface on the NXT roster if he keeps getting booked this way? I'm going to say simply yes. I don't see him being the champion, the top guy, but I can see him being a top babyface on that brand. They are booking him right now to perfection. He's getting so over organically. Would you agree with this? I think that personally, the booking at TakeOver was done to perfection. LA Knight got that title, and Grimes got the sympathy. And the way to book things on NXT this week, I thought was a home run segment.
Yeah, agree with everything you said there. I think seeing what happened at TakeOver, his booking, and how over he was with the crowd, yeah, it's definitely filled me with confidence that he could be pushed as one of the top baby faces. I was so glad to see LA Knight wins that, just because it extends the story a little bit more. Cameron Grimes can begin the chase to maybe win that title back. Yeah, win the title belt back.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, like you say, where it belongs, that storyline, we've got more investment in the idea of wanting Grimes to do it. That's how you get that babyface over even more. LA Knight with the heel heat he got this week because he done such a great promo, then attacking Ted DiBiase as well. I mean, the thing is, this storyline is pure character based, and it's getting both characters over in different ways. It's like you're not even thinking about the in-ring stuff half of the time because of what they're doing with the character work. It's so amazing. So they're doing a fantastic job with this, and I think Cameron Grimes, here's the thing, he could be a top babyface with the $1 million championship. Forget about the idea of actually being NXT champion. He could make that championship his own when he eventually wins it, which I assume he will. Yeah,
definitely. I think it would suit him a lot more doing it that way. Yeah, definitely. Hopefully he does get it back, and then he can just run with it.
Hopefully. Well, time will tell, as they say in good old wrestling terms. But Michael's with us. Thank you, Michael, for checking out the stream. He says, do you think that Drew McIntyre has been overpushed? I've been seeing a lot of the IWC complaining about it. Aaron, what are your thoughts? Does Drew McIntyre, has he been overpushed? Does he need a break?
I'm one of the few people who I'm really into Drew McIntyre. I think just because before his Royal Rumble performance, where he became really big, beat Brock Lesnar, I think everyone was sort of clamoring for it. He was a fresh guy coming to the top, and I still haven't really tired of that just yet. I think he's a fantastic wrestler. He can get great promos, but at the same time, I can see why people are saying I maybe bring him down the card. And I think that probably would be the right idea, to push him down a little bit, have him feud with Jinder Mahal maybe, and then work your way back up to the title. It might be one too many title feuds for Drew, I think. But I'm a massive fan of him still.
I must admit, I'm a massive fan. I don't want the wrestling community to turn on him. I think that it would be a travesty if we get to the point where we have to turn Drew heel. So I think for the good of Drew McIntyre, I hope that he loses this Sunday to give him a bit of a break. Let's say a Jinder feud, maybe. Give him 3-6 months away, and then trying to start bringing him back in. I think people will then be a lot more refreshed of Drew McIntyre, particularly if he was on SmackDown as well. A little suggestion, if you've not seen it already, ladies and gents, I've done how I'd book Drew McIntyre from now until WrestleMania 38. That video is available on the channel for you right now. But stick around with us. Don't go anywhere yet. We've got lots of questions to get through. And afterwards, if you've got yourself a free 10-15 minutes, go and check that video out. I do recommend it. I think it's a good listen. But then again, that's me who made it. So, of course, I'm going to think that. But it's up to you guys to decide.
I've listened to it. It's great. I recommend it.
There you go. Thank you so much, Aaron. You're a star, a true gent, as they say. Chris Pauling is with us in the chat room, and he says, "Guys, good day, mate." He says, "How do you feel about the debut of Arn Anderson's son on Friday, Brock Anderson, and Cody versus QT and Aaron? Is it Aaron Sarrow? How's his name pronounced?
Aaron Solo, I think.
Solo, yeah."
Solo.
Yes, he said he'd be shocked if Brock can do his dad's finisher, the spine buster. I mean, to be fair, he looked like his dad, just a very younger version. But if he's anything, if he's half as good as his dad, he's going to be awesome.
Oh, he's got to be, hasn't he? Having Arn Anderson as your trainer, that's got to count for something, I think. Oh, that's a great shout as well if he does use the spine buster as the finisher. I think that would get a great pop from the crowd. But yeah, definitely like hotly anticipating to see how. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how he does.
I think he's going to do really well. And like you said, there's that the spine buster, even at the DDT finisher of his later days in WCW. Yeah. I think if you get one of those two, you're going to get a big pop from the crowd. I think he gets the pin here over Aaron because obviously you look at it and say, well, Cody and QT, they're saving it for, aren't they, for that strap match they've got there at the start of July. Yeah. I forget what the name of the show is called, but it certainly should be an interesting watch. Looking forward to Dynamite this week with that.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
Well, Michael has said that he personally disagreed, by the way, with Drew McIntyre being overpushed. So it's good to have his thought on it as well there. So thank you for giving your thoughts, and anyone else that does give their thoughts to any of the questions in the chat, we will get to them eventually, even if it's not straight away. But Eli Wax is back for us once again, and he says, Walter had the eye emoji on Joe Return on his Twitter. NXT retweeted him. Interesting. Yeah, very interesting, as I haven't seen that tweet. But, I mean, obviously, we can twist this into Volta, actually, because Imperium were looking to do the damage this week and get the revenge over Breezango. They didn't get the job done. And of course, we've seen what happened with Alexander Wolf. Of course, well, he got released, didn't he? But he actually first have got booted out of Imperium for the continual non-success. Do we see Volta coming to the States here to actually strengthen up the ranks in Imperium? Because clearly people are not getting the job done without him.
Yeah, I think that definitely could happen. As I say, especially if Imperium keep on losing, you could definitely see him coming up, causing trouble, maybe getting in Joe's way whilst he's trying to recruit. So that could definitely be one of the routes they could go down to make that match happen.
Absolutely, yeah. And once Volta's there in NXT, Volta versus Joe, yes, please. That's all I can say about that. Martin Guerrero says, from every company that you both watch, what wrestlers need a manager to make it to the main card main event? So that's another fantastic question. We get some great questions tonight. Can you think of a wrestler that comes straight to your head that goes, that person needs a manager? They'll do so much better if they had a manager in their corner.
Oh, that is a really tough question. I think the first guy that comes to mind is Chad Gable for some reason. I think he can talk. He has a good promo, but I think having maybe like a legend behind him, bring back Kurt Angle, maybe that would be perfect, just to give him the vindication that he needs, because the guy is so underrated, so talented. So that is one guy that sticks in my mind. But there's probably so many out there that I'll like think after this. I should have said that.
It's so hard to do because there's so many wrestlers that you could say that with. I will say Cesaro just because of the fact that, Cesaro probably isn't the strongest talker, but arguably is one of the best in-ring wrestlers in the world. So I think that if he had the right person to do the mouthpiece for him, I think you could get him to that next level. But it's a great question once again. It's very hard to think. But if there are other people that come to mind, hey, we'll pop them out. We'll say them on the screen for you. But Randy Sam says that Baron Corbin on the bump said that he wants to bring back the King of the Ring tournament, and that's what he meant. Oh, okay, yeah, that's what he meant. Well, I'd like to see it come back. I think it should be a yearly tradition.
Yep, totally agree. I'd love to see it come back. Just have that lead into SummerSlam, maybe. You've got your Royal Rumble leading into WrestleMania with the winner. So if you have the same thing with King of the Ring going into SummerSlam, I think that could work out nicely.
Definitely. Maybe it should be like a pay-per-view before. We have like Money in the Bank in June, and then we have the pay-per-view that's in that position. Now it's going to be Hell in a Cell, but someone else could be King of the Ring, Queen of the Ring. Get your number one contender set for SummerSlam. It's well in place, isn't it? And of course, you don't need to have the crown each and every time you win it like the old days. You didn't have King Kurt Angle, King Brock Lesnar. You didn't have those sort of superstars.
King Stone Cold.
No, we got the rattlesnake. Yeah, exactly. he said the famous 316 line. He just said he just whooped your you know what, and that's just pretty much how it goes down. So no, Randy, great comment there for us, and yeah, we'd love to see it come back. Noob and Co, do you want to see Io Shirai and Poppy as the women's tag team champions? Personally, for me, I have to answer this one very quickly and say no, I wouldn't. If Io Shirai is going to do it, first choice would be Saray, but I am happy to see Zoe Stark in this position as well. I think she's got a lot of talent. I think Zoe Stark could be a potential future star in NXT and on the main roster with time. Aaron, how would you feel?
Yeah, probably not either. I do like when Poppy came on last week, she is quite unique with sort of the character she's trying to portray, so that was cool. Yeah, it is good to see Zoe Stark come out. I think, again, I'm the same. I would have probably preferred Saray to come out. But yeah, Io Shirai and Zoe Stark going after those titles, that should be pretty good.
It should be indeed. There, well, definitely it looks to be with the way, and Io Shirai definitely it's heading towards that tag team division anyway. But we've got Curtis John who's with us now, and he says, "Sup SCW and Wooldridge, what are some 5 things you hope to see at Hell in a Cell? Do you hope to see any returns for people who you'd like to see return? I'm calling it Brock or Kofi heel turn, Money in the Bank, Hill Kofi versus Drew, or to join the Hurt Business." So a lot of predictions and suggestions there from Curtis John, but we will go with 5 things that you'd hope to see happen at Hell in a Cell. Should we split that between us, Aaron? You take 3 and I take 2?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah, I'll let you do the first one then.
Yeah, speaking about the heel turn, like I mentioned earlier with Xavier Woods and Kofi, I think that would be quite cool to see a Woods heel turn maybe. Side him with MVP to go against Kofi, and maybe they've sort of been playing against Kofi. So I think that would definitely be one.
That would be definitely a great one there. I would like to see. Do you know what? I'm going to get probably not a popular one for this one here, but I think Charlotte Flair should win the Raw Women's Championship. My personal reason for it is because I want a journey for Rhea Ripley to win it back at SummerSlam. I want the idea that Charlotte seems to have Rhea's number, but we're then that way with Rhea, where she's kind of been conflicted, if you want, at this point. When you look and say Rhea kind of babyface one week, heel the next week. We're not sure where we're meant to be with Rhea Ripley right now. Let's get a full-on as babyface. Let's get us a bit of compassion. The emotion we saw going into WrestleMania 36, that feeling when she was in the Raymond James Stadium saying that this was the biggest moment of her career, playing into that going into SummerSlam in a stadium. I did it at WrestleMania winning against Asuka, but I've never been able to do it against Charlotte Flair. Build it up that way there. So for me, yeah, controversial. I would say that I think that Charlotte Flair should win this Sunday.
Oh, I like it. Definitely. I think for my second one, I would like to see Sasha return. Obviously, with Bianca and Bayley having their match, I'd probably go with Bianca to win it, and then have Sasha Banks come out. Maybe just, maybe not get physical, but maybe just step into the ring, look at the belt, and walk off. Maybe just to set up that next match between those two.
Yeah, that would be pretty darn cool if that was to happen. I am going to go for the third one. Where should we go? I hope that Cesaro versus Seth Rollins is added to this card, and hope that Cesaro gets a win over Seth Rollins to finally solidify himself in around that top bracket in WWE and on SmackDown.
That would be great to see. That's got to happen, hasn't it, that match? It'd be great to see Cesaro win that feud. Yeah,
absolutely. And one last thing.
He did mention Brock Lesnar, and I think that'd be pretty cool to see Bobby Lashley and Drew just have a really great physical matchup. Lifts up the cage, Drew rolls out, Bobby's sort of spent in the ring. Hear Brock Lesnar's music, he comes down, stares down Bobby, maybe gives him an F5, and just walks out. I think that would blow the roof off the place.
It would. You'd be talking Monday, that's for sure, wouldn't you? The whole internet would blow up. So, yeah, I think that would be an awesome one. I think that's to be the top one of the way that we finish. Curtis John does go on to say that you, Aaron, make a great point on Drew McIntyre's awesome as heel or face, good on the mic, and is believable. Looks believable. AEW will die to have a Drew as the champion. Imagine Omega versus Drew or Drew versus Miro. A couple of incredible matches there.
Oh yeah, that'd be brilliant. Omega v Drew, that's a dream match that you wouldn't really sort of think of at first, but yeah, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. A Claymore versus a V-Trigger or a One Wing Angel certainly would be down for that. Martin Carrera, why hasn't WWE built a Stone Cold name with their current roster? He said that Vince can't find the right guy. I would say arguably yes, or they don't want a carbon copy of what they've done previously. When I tried doing carbon copies with certain superstars, it hasn't connected as well. It connects, but not to that same level because there's only one Stone Cold Steve Austin. But are they looking with the current roster we've got? Obviously, let's take an old gimmick. Stone Cold was the ringmaster beforehand, $1 million champion, if you will. He evolved into Stone Cold Steve Austin. Are we finding with one or two current WWE superstars that they could evolve into what could become not just a top-level superstar, but a mainstream personality that's known everywhere?
On the main roster, I can't really think of anyone off the top of my head for now, because I think they have kind of had guys that have been similar in the past. Obviously, CM Punk was fairly similar. Dean Ambrose, I think they kind of tried it with as well. With guys on the main roster, it is a hard one, really, because I don't think there's really anyone going against. Obviously, they don't really have any officials other than Adam Pearce and Sonya, so I don't really think they've got anyone sort of that could sort of take that role in a way. Is there anyone that pops to your mind?
It's very difficult. I mean, obviously, Roman is close to that level right now. He's probably the best that WWE has got, but he's a heel, so you need a babyface dragged up to his level. That's currently why Roman can be so savage, because he can say, look, I'm that great, but I need someone that actually wants to come to where I am, meet me halfway, and then you'll get my championship. So we need someone that's on that level. I think someone like a Big E has got the personality, has got what it takes to get to that level, but there's something still not connecting on the dots for me to get him to where he's at that level. And I don't know if that is because he's away from the New Day. I mean, I don't know what it is. What would you think is missing there right now with Big E since he's lost the Intercontinental Championship?
Yeah, it's like I say, there is something slightly missing with Big E. I think it's just he hasn't really been taken to that next level in a way. All of his feuds have they still feel mid-card. I think if he went against Roman or maybe even like a Seth Rollins and I think Seth Rollins is one of those guys. He's been up there. So Big E sort of was able to get a couple of wins over him. I know you can't have him lose too much, or even just challenge Roman just to bring him up to that next level. Then we could really see what Big E could do in the main event scene. But a name did just come to my head. Maybe Adam Cole from NXT, bring him up. I think he could be quite a good sort of anti-authority guy, perhaps.
It could work indeed. Adam Cole would be a fantastic shout. He definitely has been carrying most companies he's been involved with. He has been the longest reigning NXT champion of all time, so certainly has that. I think if Keith Lee ever come back, I think Keith Lee will be a shout of someone that could do it as well. He's got the charisma. He oozes. He's something special. He stands out. For me, Keith Lee could be someone that would be great for representing. But yeah, it's a very difficult role to fill, to find that megastar right now. And of course, like I said at the start there, we won't find another Stone Cold Steve Austin, but to find another megastar at some point, we will do. But West Coast Podcaster in the house said, what's up? I was hoping for that outdoor scenery. It's late at night where I'm afraid. I can't get it right now, unfortunately. But LA Knight and Cameron Grimes can't touch that. Yeah, no, it was done to absolute perfection, wasn't it? You really can't argue that. But thank you very much for checking out the stream there. And hopefully some more videos will be outside at some point, definitely during the summer season. But Anubin Co, do you think that Asuka is being buried? I've seen a lot of the IWC want her to be let go. God, they're crazy. And be released from WWE because of the way she's been booked. And what's the end game for her losing to Rhea Ripley? Well, I think first off addressing, is Asuka being buried?
No, I don't think she's being buried. I think it's one of those cases with WWE when it comes to the women's division. They only really like having the title belts as the stories. And at the end of the day, the story is Charlotte and Rhea. And I think girls like Asuka and Nikki Cross, they're kind of just components of it, but they're not the main characters. They're more like the side characters. So there isn't really a lot of onus on Asuka at the minute. So I think that is why she's losing. But at the end of the day, she is getting television time. And I think that is better than nothing at all. So yeah, I wouldn't say she's getting buried. At the end of the day, she's having competitive matches. She's not getting squashed in a couple of minutes or anything like that. So
no, I would agree with that. She's making your top 5 list from week here and there, isn't she? So she can't be doing everything wrong. So if you're being buried, you're losing in a couple of minutes. So yeah, she's losing too much. I would say that. Is she being booked well? No, but like you said, she's the placeholder right now. She's not someone that's actually the champion or the challenger. She's just a piece on that chessboard. She's not one of the main people right now. But that time could come once again. What is the end game of her losing to Rhea Ripley? It's to get Rhea Ripley over.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, she's that established Oscar at this point, but hopefully it will turn around at some point. But Eli Waxerus once again for us. He says, all I'm going to say is, NXT does Tyler Breeze versus Volta for that belt at the next takeover. Take my money. Breeze is so underrated. What are your thoughts on Tyler Breeze?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's definitely underrated. Obviously, in his first NXT run, he was one of the guys going for that main belt, wasn't he? I think when I was watching yesterday's NXT, I was sort of watching that match with Breezango, and I was like, it'd be great to see Tyler Breeze go on another singles run again, because he is great. Like, his character beforehand was awesome. If he had a match against Walter, that would be interesting. I think Walter would probably run through him, but I'd love to see Tyler Breeze further up the card, definitely.
I definitely would like to see him get a bit of a push. I remember the time he took on Jushin Thunder Liger at the TakeOver. I thought it was an awesome match. That was a really good one back in the day. Tyler Breeze is definitely underrated, but like you say, if they booked it right now, even though they could have a great match, unfortunately NXT would actually make Volta steamboats, and when it wouldn't be an easy watch if you're a Breeze fan. But we do agree on this stream that yes, definitely he's an underrated talent. Martin Correa, I personally think that Nakamura needs to win a top title, but he can't really talk a lot. Well, he would be another suggestion for someone that could have manager, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I'm thinking that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'd love to see Nakamura win the top title. Obviously, he was really close when he first came in. I think that is maybe just the talking thing that doesn't do it for the upper management in WWE. So perhaps if he did have a manager, I really liked it when Sami Zayn kind of worked as his manager. I thought that was quite a good little pair in there. So yeah, I'd be all for Nakamura winning the top title at some point, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess you don't get that position currently when you've got Rick Boogs as your assistant.
Yeah, yeah. That's a great pairing as well. Hopefully they do something with that, other than facing Baron Corbin every week. So
yeah, we've got one more week of it at least, but we can see where it leads to after that. But West Coast Podcast says Io and Shirai I'd like to see as tag champs. I think we agree, don't we?
Yep, definitely.
Absolutely.
Love to see it.
Absolutely. And Old Man as well. I hope that happens with Brock. That'll be crazy. So if Brock does turn up, that would be kind of interesting. And of course, I'm saying Becky was kind of in that Stone Cold space in her way. Well, she technically wasn't she? But she ended her own twist in her dynamic to that character, which kind of made it fresh, made it exciting as well. Becky, she is one of a kind. She was the top star arguably at one point in WWE. That
is a great shout. Yeah. If there is anyone on the main roster at the minute, it is Becky when she comes back. I think she is that Stone Cold-esque character, and I think after when her time is up with WWE, I could definitely see her moving into the mainstream. I think she built herself up that much that she is one of their top superstars, male or female. So that's a good show.
It is a good shout. And do you know what? She was rumoured to be wanted by Marvel at one point as well. So she definitely must have been doing something right there. And of course, we know Batista's already in that lineup as well. So can't wait for Guardians of the Galaxy 3 whenever it does come around. But we've got another one here from Jason Michael says, I hope they don't rush it, but Bray get well soon. But do you think it will make good sense if Bray helps Shayna, or Bray attacks Seth versus Cesaro match, or Bray attacks Drew and you saved Kofi? Well, I mean, the thing is, it's interesting how they'll bring Bray Wyatt when he comes back to TV. Obviously, we wish him well also. We don't know when he will be brought back, but if and when he does come back, we've got a few suggestions here. Does any of those take your fancy, or is there a way that particularly you'd like to bring him back and who you'd like to see him face?
I think if any of them, I probably would like to see him come back in the Alexa Bliss thing, just to sort of tie that loose end up, and then maybe go forward from there. I don't know if I'd have him. Well, he could go up against Drew McIntyre maybe if Drew does step down from that title picture. That would be quite interesting. But I'd probably like to see him just finish off his storyline with Alexa Bliss first.
I think it needs to be done. I think that's where it's completely lost the momentum with Alexa, the playground, and everything done with the supernatural stuff. And we had a great shout on the stream yesterday for the Hell in a Cell predictions that this Sunday probably will turn into some form of cinematic match, being the last pay-per-view at the Thunderdome. So it would be a great opportunity to bring the Fiend back if they were to ever do it, or a tease or something. But obviously, I'm not going to hold on to much hope of that. I can see Alexa Bliss coming away with all, well, we say all smiles, certainly all evils at the end there. I think she'll be the one probably walking away with the victory, however, whatever fashion it's done in. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the idea of the Fiend versus Drew McIntyre. I think that seems like a very exciting proposition as well there. I think that would be a good one there. This is also suggested by Jason there. We could even see a heel turn or Woods as well. I think that's where it continued on, and save Kofi's heel turn or Woods. So that's where that continued on in that comment there. But yeah, it's a very interesting proposition. We'll have to wait and see what happens when the Fiend does come back. But Martin Career says here, did WWE miss badly with the Alexa Bliss and the Fiend storyline? Speak of the devil we mentioned a minute ago. I was so intrigued when they were on SmackDown, but when they went to Raw, things went downhill in his opinion. I have to agree. Is this a thing that comes down to creative, or the thing that just whoever's booking the show, they just actually run out of ideas?
I think it is a creative thing. I think when they moved over to Raw, I think they saw how well Alexa Bliss did with the character, and I think they kind of thought they wanted Alexa Bliss to be the main part of that sort of character, not Bray Wyatt. They wanted him to take a backseat. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if Bray Wyatt comes back as another different character, and they just have Alexa Bliss as that one character. Yeah, I just didn't look like they knew what they were doing with it. It was like week to week booking. I think they didn't really have an end game, which is obviously culminated in what happened at WrestleMania, which wasn't that great. But
yeah, it's so true though. And the thing is, like you said there on SmackDown, it was definitely where it was at its strongest. I have faith in SmackDown booking. I don't have faith in Raw booking. And I like the idea when it came to with the when it was mind control. I mean, of course, that sort of hypnosis, that sort of idea, you can sort of have a bit of suspense and disbelief in the storyline. When it's gone completely supernatural and doing things that just aren't going to, especially when the crowd's there. When a crowd is there, I mean, WWE is trying to present this to me as like, yes, it's sports entertainment, but most people are not these, characters that you wouldn't believe in. So why would I believe in the story? And how can I suspend my disbelief? So that's why I've had a major disconnect with this.
Yeah, I agree with that one. Definitely.
Well, SC Williams has said that you make a very good point. It says Booker T said Adam Cole can be a world champion. He should be the future of the company. And Ted DiBiase's sell of LA Knight was good. So, yeah, I mean, I have to agree that you made a great shout of Adam Cole. And as we said, LA Knight and Ted DiBiase, what a fantastic job they did.
Yeah, definitely. I think with LA Knight, before TakeOver, I think a lot of people were unsure of him. Don't think he had really shown his best just yet. But yeah, he's arrived with that. I was so glad when he did attack. I know it's horrible to say, but I am glad when he did attack Ted DiBiase, because that is what it needed. That is what he needs as a heel character, just to get him over a little bit more. So yeah, that was great to see. And like you say, DiBiase sold it really well.
He did a fantastic job in doing so, really, really did. And yeah, it's just what it needed. That was, as I said earlier on, it was a home run segment. And yeah, Booker T saying Adam Cole could do it. Well, as you said, Aaron, you said that Adam Cole could be that guy. Let's see what comes along in the future, because yeah, he does definitely have all the tools there to be a top star. And West Coast Podcast also says it's too cluttered on SmackDown for Big E to excel to the next level. Very good point there. But it's time to pull the trigger on him against Roman, even if he won't win. I'd give that feud a few months, not just a one-off. Some fantastic points in there. I agree with a lot of that. Would you as well?
Yeah, definitely. After Rey Mysterio, I can't see any reason why you can't have Big E come in and be the next competitor for Reigns for a few months. Yeah, it's a great show, and I think that's definitely the next step that Big E needs to take.
Yeah, I would like to see it, definitely. The only other suggestion I would do alternatively, because you said he's too clustered on SmackDown, would be to move him over to Raw. But sometimes, like we've seen, and this was a storyline fantasy booking idea that popped in my head, so please tell me in the comments if you like it or you don't, is the idea that you could have that reunited with the New Day on the first night. And we're talking about Kofi and Xavier turning heel. What about if Big E just turns heel on both of them? You've just, you left me on SmackDown, you moved on, where have I heard from you? My brothers, I've not heard from you for a full year. I come here, you expect it to be like all song and dance. You see a heel serious side of Big E. And like you get with these heels, when you get this serious side and they connect perfectly with a heel character, you transition that heel into the babyface with those right mannerisms from the heel character to come across as a top creditable babyface. And that way then you can go and win the championship. But am I a bit too left field with that idea?
No, I don't think so. I think you're on the money there. Obviously, they've got the draft coming up pretty soon, haven't they? So they could definitely move Big E over to Raw. And I think they could, because obviously with Bobby Lashley, other than Kofi and Drew, there's not too many challengers on Raw, I don't think. Obviously AJ, but he's more of a heel. So maybe they could just do like maybe like 4, 5, 6 months of just a New Day and Bobby Lashley alternating, having matches. That might be interesting, with the New Day kind of having tension there between all three of them.
Certainly could even lead to a WrestleMania triple threat match. But last one is up to that point there. I mean, as we go to the question, the idea there was Big E as well, Roman Reigns, and I have to say I agree with that. Even if Big E doesn't win, that would do as much for him being in that scene like it did for Cesaro, show, because Cesaro has come out the other side still looking like he could be a top guy with another big win.
Yeah, definitely, hands down. Obviously, Kevin Owens looked great with Roman Reigns as well. I know he's gone a little bit more down the card, but I haven't forgotten like how great those matches were with Roman. Everyone talks about how great Roman is, but during that feud, I think that was very tit for tat with both of them. They both made that feud work.
They really, really did. And I still would love to see Kevin Owens win the Money in the Bank this year. And speaking of Money in the Bank, Jason Michael says Money in the Bank is interesting because we're going to get a lot of returns. I hear people want Cena as Money in the Bank to face Roman, but I think Hell in a Cell will be interesting too. We might get some returns there. Well, we certainly might get some returns there. Of course, the idea of John Cena could be returning on that SmackDown then on the go-home show for Money in the Bank. Do we see John Cena as a late entry into Money in the Bank and potentially winning it?
That's a good shout. I would not put it past them to have Cena win Money in the Bank. That definitely could happen. Oh,
I'm back. There we go. Don't know what happened. I'm here.
I thought I'd gone. I wasn't too sure.
Yeah. Sorry. As you were saying there, you thought there would be an interesting shout.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't put it past them to have Cena win the Money in the Bank.
No, I wouldn't put it past them either. Do you think it'd be a missed opportunity, though, if they were to do that and actually you'd find there that you could have built a new star in that role instead, rather than having the old tried and tested of John Cena? Surely he could get there by merit himself.
Yeah, definitely. I think that would take away, like you say, you could have someone like Kevin Owens, who I think would be one of the only faces in the company who would suit having the Money in the Bank. And there's obviously other guys as well, like the Usos, Big E, maybe Woods, someone like that. So yeah, I think it would take away from it, but it's WWE, isn't it?
That's what it is. It is WWE after all. We know what they're like. Official 2 and TNT 2K is in there. Says evening, guys, and C Nation Dog as well. Great to have wrestling by Wooldridge here. It certainly is indeed. Yeah. We're having a lot of fun on the stream so far. Time to still get some questions in if you want. We have hopefully not missed any from the chat here, but I do have a number of questions still that we've not tackled. Aaron, how are we doing for time? Would you all right for another 15, 20 minutes? Would it be okay?
Yeah, all good, mate. No problem.
All good for that. We will go then for about another 20 minutes and get through as many questions as we can. Remember, Alexa Distract Bray versus Randy match. Bray can do the same thing for Payback. I mean, that would be an interesting proposition, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it would make sense in the whole sort of story arc of it. So it's definitely a possibility if Bray does come back pretty soon.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely would be. We would like to see that interaction in that kind of way. Heel turn for Asuka from Noob & Co.
I'd love it. Yeah, definitely. I think obviously in NXT, she was kind of more of a tweener. There was some heel work there, but yeah, I think she'd make a great heel. She's got that intensity and the physicality about her with her moveset, so I think she'd suit it.
I really do as well. I think that she definitely would suit that role. I'd like to see the Kabuki Warrior style Asuka come back. I think with the green mist and stuff like that, I think could work pretty well for her. Be more like a silent assassin, if you want, rather than someone that's dancing around all the time. I'd quite like that, but not alone. Of course, Marsh says that they'd be happy if Asuka turned heel on both Charlotte and Rhea for Sunday. Could be interesting if that was to go down. And Noob also says that will we see an endgame between Asuka and Charlotte Flair? Is WWE afraid that Asuka might be the face of the women's division? I personally don't think so on that. I think currently they would look and say that Asuka is one of the faces, but perhaps not the top face of the division. Aaron, how would you look at things with that, and how would you look at see with the end game for Asuka and Charlotte Flair?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think Asuka is the face, but like you say, she is one of the biggest stars. I think last year we did see that when when lockdown hit, and obviously they introduced the Thunderdome, I think WWE realized Asuka was a woman that they could rely on. They could give the top spot at any point, and I think that is what she is to them. When it comes to Asuka and Charlotte, I don't know if there is an end game there, to be honest. Maybe they could have another match down the line, but yeah, I think that story, I can't see it having like a big ending or anything like that.
It's a shame because I think there was potential at a big ending at one point when Asuka couldn't get that victory over Charlotte. Almost the same as what I said with Rhea. They need to get that big win for Asuka, would have really propelled her to another level. I think now the only way for an end game for this is a loser leaves town match. That's the only way to do it. So the loser has to leave the show they're on. Then they have to be on separate brands for at least 12 months and then make it 2 or 3 years because these two have been facing so much and they have great chemistry in the ring, great matches. I shouldn't complain. But when we see rematch after rematch, it's nice to see them freshen it up a little bit. So for me, I personally would like to see a loser leave town match. Would you feel the same?
Yeah, that's definitely a good show. I think they've done that in the past, you know. I'll take sort of Batista, John Cena, for example. These guys were sort of moving at the same pace the whole time. They're on different brands. I think they both switched at the same time. And then eventually, a couple of years later, it comes to blows. Maybe if they did something similar with Asuka and Charlotte, give it a year or 2, then they face off again, like maybe a Royal Rumble, and then build it up to WrestleMania. Perhaps that would be interesting. That
would be, because then that would feel like a defining place to have the match as well there, wouldn't it? So yeah, that would work. I think that would be really, really cool. Article says, how is it that WWE on SmackDown, they can make people head to the next level? Example, Reigns, Belair, Owens, and recently guys like AJ, Jeff Hardy, or Naomi don't really do good on Raw than they did on SmackDown. It's a very interesting proposition because, yeah, Jeff Hardy was in top storylines on SmackDown last year, yet he's not doing that this year on Raw.
Yeah, it is a bit of a strange one because, I mean, I don't know if they do have the same bookers. I don't know if the booking is slightly different with both of those shows. I think when it comes to someone like Roman Reigns, I think if he was on Raw, he would be in the same position, to be honest. He is just doing fantastic work. But whether they're trying to go for slightly different vibes with Raw and SmackDown, at the end of the day, I think Fox did want more of a sports-orientated show. And I think SmackDown is the slightly better in terms of like wrestling quality. They do have longer matches, and I think that does work for guys like Jeff Hardy, Kevin Owens, AJ Styles, whereas on Raw maybe it's more story driven. That would probably be my only sort of thing maybe with that.
Yeah, and I mean, Bianca Belair wasn't really getting TV time on Raw when she was there either. No. It feels like you say the athletes are presented on the athlete show, where you kind of got stories on Raw that I think people aren't necessarily invested in the stories right now. And I think that could be part of the problem, and that could be why some of them aren't doing so well on Raw. And you look at someone like Naomi, for example, I would expect her to come to SmackDown when we get to the next draft.
Yeah, they're really missing the boat with Naomi. I think she should be at the top of the card, to be honest. Yeah, when they had Hurt Business, I think she would have been a good fit in there. I think with Roman Reigns' bloodline, I think she is a shoo-in for that. I think they would benefit from having a woman's presence there. So, yeah, if she does get drafted, hopefully they do and sort of improve her booking.
Absolutely, and she'd have a better time on SmackDown previously, so would love to see it. Official TNT 2K, I have wanted a Big E Langston heel turn for the day they drafted apart from the heel turns that Big E Langston's, the whole in the entire 5 count was money. Yeah, back in the day in NXT, we had the 5 count refuse. It was almost like King Kong Bundy of the modern era. I enjoyed that. I mean, we spoke about a Big E heel turn already, but was you a fan of the 5 count and that Big E back in the day?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved the 5 count thing. I think that's something I've been wanting to see how it would work on the main roster with the 5 count. Obviously, I think you have to be sort of careful of which wrestlers he does beat with the whole 5 count thing, because I don't know if it would make some guys look a little bit weak. But yeah, it would definitely put over Big E, as I think it would give him some renewed positivity, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely, that power positivity, but certainly in not a babyface way. It would be quite interesting to see. And I must be doing something right here because SCW makes a good point. Finally, what if a Big E heel turn on both guys to join the Hurt Business for the draft? WWE can tell a good storyline with this and to show Woods' anger of the Big E heel turn on the mic. Yeah, what a fascinating idea that would be, because that could actually drive Xavier Woods into a singles push perhaps. And obviously Xavier Woods, we know he's got the charisma when you watch his up down down channel, and we could perhaps see that passion, that emotion on the mic. We've seen it with Kofi in the past, a Big E heel turn as well with Lashley. Is this a part of your flavor? Would you like to see some of this?
Yeah, it's a possibility. It could happen. It's Shield 2.0, isn't it? Big E stabbing his brothers in the back. So yeah, I think it is coming, something with the New Day. Equally, I would like to see them stick together just because they do have that chemistry. And I don't always think you do need to break up these factions. But with the New Day, I really think they could do something special. If it is Big E that has a heel turn, yeah, or either one of them, I think it could work.
Definitely has potential, I'd say, because usually at some point you can use those stables to build people to the next level. If it gets Xavier Woods to the next level, it gets Kofi back up the card there, and if it pushes Big E as well, certainly it could be a good thing. But I guess time will tell. We're just fantasy booking here on a Wednesday evening. That's pretty much what's going down at the moment. So Martin says it's his last question from him. He says that thanks for the questions and thoughts, but is the pressure really on Roman Reigns to deliver since he's doing his best work on WWE? Well, that's a really good question, because obviously you would turn around and say that Roman Reigns, he has the company on his shoulders right now. He has it on his back. He is the main event. So, yeah, I mean, is that pressure on Roman right now?
I think it is, but I don't think he's feeling it. I think he's thriving in it, to be honest. I think this is what his career is built up for, to be honest. I think he's always sort of been how can I say it? What's the right word? Sort of built up to this point. This is what WWE have wanted from him, and he's finally realizing that potential as a possible sort of megastar. So it's on him, but I think he is thriving under it for sure.
I think he's thriving it as well. I think that this is the best we've seen of Roman Reigns, and it's good to really see he's getting that real heel heat right now.
He's the best thing in wrestling right now. No, I don't think anyone's touching him.
No, I have to agree. I think there's no level. It is where Roman Reigns is, and everyone right now is beneath him. And yeah, they're eating off the table. They're not head of it. There's only one right now. It's our tribal chief. We've got Marshall says, and then a Big E face turn versus Lashley at the Royal Rumble. I like it, SCW. Thank you very much. Yeah, let's get that booked. I'd be quite down for that. Official TNT 2K Samoa Joe choking out Cole last night was money, guys. Yeah, we have to agree the way that was done there, because especially that speech afterwards. Samoa Joe going, and when he wakes up, he let him know he has to make the decision straight away of who he's facing next week. And we never found out. He never woke up.
No, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I love Joe. He is just that typical badass, isn't he? Yeah, that was great, and a great line afterwards to Cole. So it'll be interesting to see if Cole does have a comeback for him. Yeah, it will be interesting to see.
It would be interesting indeed there. Jason Michael says, Sami Callan did it too. SCW turn heel on Cena, win Money in the Bank. Not this again. Yeah, I mean, we have seen it before with John Cena, haven't we? Back in 2012. He was the first one to unsuccessfully cash it in as well. He said ahead of time, he shot his shot. He said, Raw 1000, I'm cashing that in. CM Punk, I'm taking your title. And it never happened. So yeah, I mean, I think it would be better to see someone else get this Money in the Bank this year. It would be a wasted opportunity to give it someone that doesn't necessarily need it.
Yeah, definitely it would. It's that Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank situation again. They had guys like Mustafa Ali who could have won it at the time, and I think this is a similar situation. But hopefully they don't. But we'll have to see.
Absolutely, indeed. There, C Nation Dog put this back up again. We have answered this already, so just so you know, towards the start of the video. But just to give you a quick answer, really, a yes or no. I don't think he's overrated, and Aaron didn't think he was overrated either. But you can find out the reasoning at the start of the video, because we go on for this one for about a good 3 or 4 minutes, so we won't go into it in detail again. But go to the start of the video, and you will get that one answer for you straight away. But we'll move on to the next question here. Okay, we're going to football for the minute. Do you think it's coming home?
It's coming home. It's happening.
We can only hope. We can keep the faith. We can only hope. Italy looked very good tonight, winning against Switzerland. And we'll have to wait and see. There's definitely going to be some competition, but fingers crossed. Would love to see it. But C Nation Dog with a new question for us that he didn't give earlier. They should have the Fiend Bray Wyatt distract Alexa Bliss. Then after the match, he attacks Alexa Bliss and writes her off TV, and she comes back as a heel. That would be an interesting concept. I mean, obviously we have the. With these characters, how would you feel? Do you feel that the violence on Alexa Bliss from the Fiend would work?
I'm not sure. I don't know if it needs to get physical, obviously, because you've got the doll as well, so maybe that could sort of play into the story somehow with Bray Wyatt. I think it needs to be more of a mental thing, not a physical thing. I think that would sort of fit with Bray Wyatt. I don't think it needs to come in there and just attack Alexa Bliss and injure her for a couple of weeks. So maybe make it more of like a. I think Alexa Bliss at the minute, she's got so much confidence over the rest of the division. She's kind of just running amok. So having Bray Wyatt coming back maybe takes her down a couple of pegs, something like that.
Especially if we could have mind control over another superstar that could do the work for him, like a Shayna Baszler, someone that is a badass, maybe, or Nia Jax if she gets through this Sunday, someone that would be of the caliber that you could say, well, if they had Bray's influence, that they would be unstoppable against Bliss. Maybe it could be an interesting channel they could go down instead. But C-Nation Dog does have a second question for us here now. It says that this Sunday, Hell in a Cell, they should have... Oh, no. It says, does the attack there, writes off, and she comes back as the goddess. Well, I do like the goddess character, I must admit, more than what we've currently got. Would you like to see the goddess character come back?
Yeah, I'd love to see the goddess come back. I really liked her work, and it seemed at the time that they were pushing Alexa Bliss to be as big as sort of your Charlotte Flairs and your Sasha Banks. She is I think she's like a 5 times women's champion, something like that, under that goddess character. I would love to see the goddess come back. Absolutely,
indeed, definitely. We're going to give a 10-minute warning, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to answer as many questions left in the last 10 minutes of this stream. We're going to try and get through them as quickly as possible, what we've got in the chat right now. So official TNT Impact Wrestling finally using Callahan in the Elite versus Moxley, Kingston, Death Triangle, about bloody time. I would love to see that. I'm not aware of this information. Is Sami Callihan going to be involved here then, it seems, with All Elite Wrestling?
I haven't actually seen it to see if it is happening, but it is something I have been wanting for a long time. I think when you have Mox and Kingston versus the Elite, I think that needs Callahan in there. Callahan, Moxley, and Kingston. That just works, doesn't it? So hopefully, if that is confirmed, then great. I think that is the natural step for it, to be honest.
Absolutely. I would hope it would happen. And if it is happening, yes, sign me up for it. I would definitely love to see it. Oscar has a Kill Bill character. I like it, SCW, but will the fans like that for Oscar? Well, that's the money question. I mean, obviously, we can say what we like, but it comes down to what people want as well. So we'll have to wait and see what people would feel down the line. But official TNT 2K, Biggie Langston, the old 5 count should come back, but I feel it should be happening on the night of the draft with Biggie turning on Kofi and Woods. Still open to happen in the next draft. So if it was to happen on Kofi and Woods, would it get the ultimate heel heat?
Yeah, I think so, definitely. Because at the end of the day, they're as brothers. I think there's always been this kind of thing that these guys will never break up. They keep saying how close they are, how big their bond is. So it would definitely get them over as a heel, I think, for sure.
Absolutely, I would have to agree with that. I think it's the right people that you could start it off with and do it with jobbers. But if you do it with people like Roman Reigns, it wouldn't go down well. But if you do it like this to get this initial heel heat, I think it's a great start. Marta Korea says, Lashley, I feel bad for... Oh, lately, that should be, sorry. I feel bad for Naomi every time she goes to Raw. She doesn't do anything significant. She's got the talent. We have to agree.
Yeah, it is a shame. Hopefully her booking does improve. As I said, I'd love to see her team up with Roman Reigns and the Usos because that is there for them. Obviously, she is married to one of the Usos, so...
Absolutely, yeah. I hope that it does happen, and we do get as well official TNT 2K saying Naomi to get drafted over to SmackDown to join the Bloodline needs to happen if Roman wants to take over SmackDown. He's doing a very good job already, but if he has Naomi in there, as we stated earlier on, it couldn't go wrong. It could only benefit Naomi, and they could take over every division, couldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. And it's another opponent for Bianca Belair as well, so it could definitely work.
And that would be a great match as well, Bianca versus Naomi.
Really good.
We've got Jason Moore says SCW is right. I must be doing something right tonight. It's more than one of these in the comments. Now is a good match with storyline and character. I like Ricochet, but he needs a defining character to work on for him. I would agree with that. He's a fantastic worker in the ring. One of the best. I get really invested watching his matches, but there is something needed on the character, and it's not stealing Sheamus's hat. That's not what's doing it for me.
Yeah, totally agree with you. Personally, I'd like to see him turn heel. I would like to see how he would do as a heel. Maybe, like we said earlier with the managers, Ricochet could be one of those guys that does benefit from having a manager. But yeah, because I think in the past on the indie scene, I think he came across as King Ricochet, didn't he, at a time? I think that was his heel character. So whether he bought something similar to that in WWE, even if he brought back King of the Ring, having King, I know we did say you don't have to call everyone King after winning it, but maybe it would work with Ricochet. But yeah, that's something I would like to see from him.
Definitely. Even if you went Lucha, because that was awesome back in the day. I don't know if you was ever a fan of Lucha Underground.
I did watch a little bit of it when he was a Prince Puma. Yeah, he was really good in that for sure.
Absolutely, indeed. There, and we've got Marsh there saying that what match do you think will be added on the card, like the Raw Tag Team title belt or anything like that for Hell in a Cell this Sunday?
Yeah, I would like to think the Raw tag belts should be on there with the Viking Raiders going after, wouldn't it? Obviously, like we said, we don't think Seth versus Cesaro has been confirmed yet. So, yeah, probably both of those matches.
Yeah, definitely. Those could be a couple. When we did the live stream yesterday, we come up with about 8 different matches that could be added to the card. But those certainly there you said there. Raw Women's title, Raw Tag Team title, sorry, and along with the Cesaro versus Seth Rollins match, I think would be 2 likely ones that could be included there. Official 2 and T2K. If only WWE would have gone with Cassius, Ono, Ambrose, and Rollins for the Shield, what would Roman be if that happened? Would he still be a big name? That is a big question. Wow. I still think he would have broke through. He would have been a heel in NXT, and that gimmick was getting over at the time. It was like almost like a really cocky, badass heel when he was winning matches. I think he would have had time to really got over organically with that character. Maybe would have skipped about the 4 or 5 years we got of the babyface Shield version of Roman Reigns. I don't know. Aaron, how do you take this?
Yeah, that is interesting, but I'd like to think, firstly, he from his family, the Anoa'i family, so we know they do like pushing those guys. And at the end of the day, the guy is talented. What he's doing now, I don't think is just because he was in the Shield. Like, the guy can wrestle, he can talk, he's got great character work. So I definitely think maybe it would have happened a little bit later on, but yeah, I definitely think he would have reached to the top level.
I think so as well. And I must admit, I'm going to say something controversial now. I don't see it in Cassius Ono. I don't know. So I'm kind of glad that it was Roman that was in that spot. I don't know what it is. It's just something for me didn't connect. The guy is a good worker, but yeah, I don't know what it was. I really don't. Yeah. Danny Barron says that, do you like the pair of Regal and Joe ideas? Joe can get to Regal. Can you imagine the matches that Joe got for Regal? A steel cage, TLC, NXT, Money in the Bank would be cool. Do you think that Joe could have the influence to get more gimmick matches or certain special stipulations into NXT?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, they could go down that route. Maybe create an entire new match where Joe is the innovator of it. That definitely could happen. But yeah, as he said at the beginning, I do like the chemistry between Regal and Joe. Obviously, back in the days when Joe was in NXT, I think they hinted towards it that he did give Regal some problems. So they've already got that cohesion and chemistry there. So yeah, looking forward to seeing what they can do together.
Absolutely. I loved what they did this week. So I'm looking forward to what they're going to bring to the table next week there. But certainly should be interesting. C Nation Dog there said that he hopes when Alexa Bliss, he said that when they put Lily in timeout, they wrote her off because the gimmick is cringe. Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, we do prefer the Gomez, but I mean, Alexa Bliss is talented in her own way. I mean, it's not her fault of the gimmick that she's currently portraying. She's doing the best of the material given. But I think we can't argue that Alexa Bliss is still a top talent.
Yeah, definitely. And with Lily, like, I mean, yeah, I think everyone wants to see it written off in some way, but I think if they wrote it off next week, it would be a bit like, I think people would complain about that because at the end of the day, you are doing the story, so you might as well finish it properly.
Absolutely, yeah. You should finish the storyline properly, I would agree.
Yeah.
Danny Barron does go on to say that he doesn't want NXT to get WWE ideas of Money in the Bank, but can you imagine that NXT taking, or King of the Ring tournament for the $1 million belt, or women's tournament to face Raquel at the next takeover? Well, I mean, the thing is, the nostalgia's there, isn't it? We've got Great American Bash, Halloween Havoc, we've had In Your House. Could King of the Ring be one that actually comes to NXT?
Yeah, definitely. That would be great. I hope that does happen now. You know, if Vince isn't going to do it, give it to Triple H and let NXT do a King of the Ring, because that would be fantastic. I think tournaments would work down in NXT because that is a work rate promotion, really, isn't it? At the end of the day, they put on great wrestler matches, so I think the King of the Ring would suit NXT.
It certainly would. And Danny does have one more question for us there. We're on the last few minutes now, ladies and gents. What do you think of Andrade's AEW characters going to be, or do you think he'll come out as a mafia boss with a Santana vibe? Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so far I'm excited to see what he brings to the table. Of course, El Idolo, obviously the idol. What do you think he's going to bring to AEW? Do you think he could be a top guy? What's the gimmick going to present? He certainly is a sharp-dressed man. We can say that for sure at the moment.
Yeah, I definitely think he'll be a top guy. Obviously, I imagine they'll hint towards his match with Omega later on in the year in AAA. So I could definitely see him being pushed to the top. I think his character at the moment does kind of look similar to what they're doing with Escobar, the way he's sort of dressed and everything like that. I think my only problem with it, personally, I'm not really a fan of Vicky Guerrero being his manager. I know, obviously, with her stuff with Eddie Guerrero, and that might be the reason why they might be going there. But I think I would have liked to have seen him go with maybe like the Lucha Brothers. I think that would have suited that. Maybe he comes in, has a storyline with Pac, something like that. But yeah, the guy's so talented, and he'll definitely get pushed to the top without a doubt.
Absolutely, I think he's going to be a star there. And just to say, to finish off, I think Thea Trinidad would have been awesome to have brought in to be the manager. I know we've seen it previously, but certainly could be an idea that they could go down. Jason Michael, we're on our last couple of questions now. It says, I want the Raw Tag Team belts at Hell in a Cell. But Vince, how about Jackson Ryker versus Elias in a guitar on a pole match? Vince, that's good S words. Yeah, we don't want to see that, do we?
No, no, not really a fan of Riker and Elias, to be honest. But again, wouldn't put it past him on doing that, to be honest.
Certainly not. And just very quickly, do you think Ricochet should turn heel and be the super villain? Do you think a heel turn would work for him?
Yeah, definitely. I think it would. And I don't think he's really had a chance to show his charisma, and I think he could as a heel. We haven't really heard him on the mic too much, but I think he could. I think he could surprise a few people.
He certainly could indeed there. Two very last questions then. These are the last ones we're going to take on. Roman Reigns World Champion, Usos Tag Champion, Naomi Women's Champion. Who would you have as the IC Champion, Apollo or Jacob Fatu as the WWE and MLW partnership, as I saw online? Well, there is rumours that partnership could happen, but do you think Jacob Fatu would be a star if he was to come to WWE, could fill that role as IC Champion?
Yeah, I think so. I'm a big fan of Fatu. I do watch MLW. So, yeah, massive fan of Fatu, and I would not be surprised if he does appear in WWE someday. As for taking it off Apollo, probably not, because I am a big fan of Apollo as well. I think he's doing brilliant as the IC champion. Other than Roman, I think he is one of the other standout guys on that show. So.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think Apollo's doing a great job there. And of course, Apollo was actually sitting around in the locker room in January with Roman Reigns, so certainly he should be one that could fit with that role. So, but I need to see some more MLW. I must say, I'm guilty. I don't see enough of it. So, but this is the last question. Then we take on then, and could the $1 Million Championship be NXT's version of the Money in the Bank briefcase? Have the title defended on pay-per-view? Eli Drake versus Trevor Lee or Camerograms? But he said he'd like to say it there in the names. He's sorry, but no, it's all good. It's all good in the hood. But yeah, would you like to see it defended in that sort of style?
Yeah, I think so. I think you could do something with that. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because you don't want it to overshadow the North American title, but you don't really want it to be like how the FTW is on AEW, where it's a little bit worthless. So I think if they do have the odd match for it and just have it be a part of storylines like it is now between LA Knight and Cameron Grimes, then it could definitely work, yeah.
Absolutely, I think it definitely could work indeed. It would be nice to see it not just used as a prop like the FTW Championship in AEW. And last suggestion in Andrade with Sal Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero's daughter, as Andrade's manager. I love that because she has been a part of AEW. I think that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, definitely. That is a good show. I've always wanted to see Shaw Guerrero be part of one of these promotions. Hopefully, she does come to AEW. That would be great to see.
That would be indeed there. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for your questions. It has been awesome here. One last one has come flying in. I do apologize, Aaron. We'll just take this last one if you don't mind.
Fine,
how about Kona Reeves to join Roman for SummerSlam as a new member? Rumors are that Roman gets another member. So if he wants to get another member, could Kona Reeves jump NXT and be someone that could fill that role? Or do you want to see Kona stick it out and be in NXT first?
Yeah, potentially it could happen. I think the thing is with Kona, it didn't really work out on NXT, and I think they have had a bit of history of sending guys up to the main roster when it doesn't really work out. I think EC3 kind of joined the main roster prematurely. Obviously, Elias, that worked great for him when he jumped up. So yeah, it could be Reeves. It would be interesting to see a fresh face.
Absolutely. C Nation Dogger said, is Roman Reigns overrated? No. We're just going to simply go no on that one. He is not. He is the head of the table. He is the man. That's definitely it. But that's all of our questions for us this week. Thank you so much for everyone that's been watching. Randy Sam, thank you very much for the kind comment. This is a great show, guys. Thanks for everything. 10 out of 10 ratings. And C Nation Dog also says that he loves these Q&As, as do we. We love doing them as well. So thank you, everyone that has been checking out the stream. And of course, there's been so many fantastic questions. Thank you for everyone that's been watching, getting involved, and even giving your opinions on some of the topics we've been talking about here today. But do remember as well that SCW is available on YouTube. More videos will be dropping throughout the week. Hell in a Cell predictions are available now. Go and check them out if you haven't. It was another great live stream that I did with Jonesy Chats Wrestling, as well with Jonesy and of course NXT as well from doing that partnership. Of course, Aaron, Wrestling by Wooldridge, tell everybody about your fantastic YouTube channel and why they should subscribe if they haven't already.
Yeah, definitely subscribe. If you're into sort of unique match analysis that I try to go into, I have quite a unique rating system. So yeah, if you're into something like that, please do check out the channel. I'm kind of trying to branch out a little bit now. Obviously, I've done the legacy sessions with Steve, and I've got a couple of other ideas in the pipeline as well. So yeah, please. I review all of the main pay-per-views as well as some of New Japan here and there. So yeah, please do subscribe, and thanks Steve for letting me say all that.
No, anytime. Honestly, I say I'll put the link in the description if it's not there already. Make sure to go and subscribe. Like I say, if you're watching this as well, please hit the thumb up after this video and leave a comment after the video is dropped. It really does help with the algorithms, the boring stuff of YouTube. And of course, it is boring really to talk about, but it really does help the channel grow. So really do appreciate if you can do that indeed. And of course, always share with a friend. If you let one friend know SCW is around, it helps grow and share the network as well. So really do appreciate all you people supporting. It really does help. But that's all from us. So thank you for watching. Have yourselves a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy wrestling and support everything. Support each other. And we'll see you next time here. And I'll be back with another video later in the week, including the usual Ask SCW, which will be dropping on Sunday, and Hell in a Cell review show will be dropping on Monday. But that's all from us. Thank you for watching. From Aaron and from myself, have yourselves a good one. Take care.